Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Today's shir is sponsored refuah sheleima and for a successful surgery of Charna Pesha by her family. Charna Pesha in Dallas and Ramat, Beit Shemesh. She should have a refuah sheleima and atzlacha. An email by Warren Gad Carlos. I feel compelled to write you an email. Firstly, to thank you for the incredible shir. The more I'm involved, the more I get out of it. It's the gift which keeps on giving, strengthening me every day, which I suppose is the whole point of living at Torah with the aid of the amazing Maggid Shir like yourself. My bracha to you is that Hashem continues giving you the strength, health, and enthusiasm to continue giving the incredible shir till 120. Shkoyach, amen. Secondly, it's a tremendous privilege for me to be able to contribute divrei Torah to the MDY newsletter. I love contributing. The other day, there was a WhatsApp message asking for people to be added to the rotation. My message to the Olam is that everyone has some Torah to contribute to bring out into this world. The MDY newsletter is a great way to do it. So jump in, Rabbi Isai, he says. P.S. I made a mistake. I mentioned that he contributed 2 pieces, but I called him by the wrong name. I said it's Dave Carlos, who is his dad. It's Warren. Also, just wanted to mention, I'm connected to 3 other members of the MDY participants. Daniel Carlos, my brother. Meir Bolel, brother-in-law. And Yaakov Toch, who is my other brother-in-law's twin brother. Yaakov is a twin. That's why he has twins. Now the whole thing makes sense now. This is this week's Orhe Merkaz. Just got it, didn't read it. I saw Nachman Seltzer has a piece there. Warren has, I didn't read anything. Warren has a very nice long piece. It takes a long time to do this. I know, it's like 11 pages. Pictures of Rameir Farkovich. Teisach Hasidus, I'm not mentioning his name because he said I call him out every day by Shlomi Klein. The Kitzer, I wanted to show you this. This is the piece by Mordechai Sapaznik I was talking about yesterday. 32-year-old in Brooklyn, New York. Very sweet, geschmacky guy. He's an artist. Shidduch, Rabbi Isai. Let's come together. Let's get him a shidduch. Special guest, Yisrael Shalitsky. Who else? I'm sure I'm missing people here. Pictures. Gevaldik. Oh, get to know Sani Halwani from Brooklyn, New York. MD Recruiter, Yeshua, with Slurpees. I didn't put him on the shir, so he got himself in the newsletter. Great move. I probably have to thank Yosef for that one. What else? Rabbi Isai, after shir on Zoom, there's a very special guy. His name is Eli Trapper, and he sent me an email. This is Eli Trapper, learning the daf. He has very, very good kashas. He's a great guy. I also found out that he's very good in karate. Hi. I just want to tell you that I've been listening to your shir for the past 4 weeks. I found out about your shir from Yeshiva World News and from All Daf. I now listen to your shir as chazara daily while driving. Daily. Where in the world do I do daf? Traveling from Queens, New York to South Fallsburg. Wow, that's a trip every day. As chazara on double time, I can review 7 shiurim. Best, Dr. Yosef Kapelovich. Smicha. Here's Rabbi Yosef Kapelovich. Here you go. All right, Yishkoyach. So, Rabbi Isai, today is Friday. Motzi Shabbos, the shir is at 7:30. And we are holding 6 lines from the bottom. By the way, there's a Moridik Halacha. I didn't have time. I ran out of time, so I might as well say Halachas now. Cool Halacha. I thought you'd appreciate this one. If a person doesn't have fire for Boyer Mereish, searching everywhere, can't find fire. The Tur says, pick up a stone and say the bracha on a stone, because that's how Adam Rishon created the first fire. I just thought it was a fascinating halacha. Share with you. I don't want to forget that one. Says the Gemara. 6 lines from the bottom. So we're talking about Tisha B'Av, how it compares to a Tainis Tzibur, the Tainis Tzibur on rain, which was very severe, and how it compares to Yom Kippur. And the Gemara we finished off saying yesterday, it's exactly like Yom Kippur. The only difference between Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur is Kfir D'Yarcha. If we don't know exactly when Rosh Chodesh is, then you'd do 2 days of Yom Kippur, and only one day of Tisha B'Av. L'chadchila, you can just do one day Tisha B'Av, not a problem. So the Gemara says, Halachol Dvarim Zev Zev Shavim. Seems like then they're exactly the same. Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur are exactly the same. One thing, if you don't know when Rosh Chodesh, so Mashal today, we know when Rosh Chodesh is, there's no difference between Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur. Misayele, Rebbe Lazar, if so, that's a good right to Rebbe Lazar. The Omar, Rebbe Lazar. Also, Adam sheyoshid etzboi b'mayim b'Tisha B'Av. You're not allowed to put your finger in water. Well, you're allowed to put your finger in water if you're washing it, chveis, netil sedai, maybe up to here, but not for pleasure. You're not allowed to put your finger in water, even a finger. Forget about your whole body, a finger. Meisvei. Question. Now we're jumping back, not Yom Kippur, but the comparison between Tisha B'Av and a tainis tzibur. There's no difference. Tainis tzibur is osur b'melacha. Tisha B'Av is a little easier. It's mutar b'melacha. But if you're reading this, and that's how everybody would read it, you think, what's the difference? Tell me all the differences. L'chumre l'kula, we only came up with one difference, melacha. Okay. But in everything else, they're exactly the same, Tisha B'Av and a tainis tzibur. But the problem is, in a tainis tzibur, it's only us to take a full-fledged shower. If you're just going to wash your face, hands, and feet, that's okay. So in other words, Tisha B'Av, you're allowed to wash your hands, face, and feet. Face, hands, feet. Feet, hands, face, whatever. But and it's not a problem. It's not the thing you can't stick your finger in water. You're allowed to wash your whole hand. You're allowed to wash your whole face. On Rapapo, top of Nun Hey Amud Aleph, Tano, Kule Katani. Dr. Listhouse would love this. That's I'm not gonna. This is just a private joke between me and him. This is Dr. Listhouse's line. I just found it. Tana, Kule Katani. Something to do with Kool-Aid and a cult. So, all we're going for, we're not going for all the differences between Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur, all the differences between Tisha B'Av and tainis tzibur. We're trying to figure out the kulos, not the chumras. So yeah, it's very possible that Tisha B'Av is more chumr than a tainis tzibur. That Tisha B'Av, you can't stick your finger in a cup of water. I'm telling you, what's the difference between Tisha B'Av and tainis to the kula? You're permitted to do melacha on Tisha B'Av. If you don't know when Rosh Chodesh is, you only keep one day. I'm not telling you all the differences. There are many differences maybe. Here's another difference. On Tisha B'Av, you're not allowed to put your finger in water, and tainis tzibur you are. But that's not what we're talking about. We're just trying to tell you the kula. Okay? New sugya. So it says in the Mishnah that a Talmid Chacham should not do melacha on Tisha B'Av. Should refrain. Why? Like we explained, you have to think about Tisha B'Av, you have to think about the Churban. So this is a very big concept in Shas. A person shouldn't flaunt, he shouldn't go around, oh, I'm better than everybody else. He shouldn't look like a Balgaiva. Now, if you pretend you're a balabas, you pretend it says in the Mishnah, only Talmidei Chachamim should not work. You don't go to work. Every single day you go to work, you're a doctor, you don't go to work. Today you're staying home. So people are going to say, oh, look at this guy. He thinks he's a Talmid Chacham. Only Talmidei Chachamim stay home. So Reb Shimon is not concerned. Okay, so that's the machlokes. Are we concerned that people will start talking about him? He looks like a Balgaiva or not? Ask the Gemara, and we learned this. Here we go. Going back to Masechtas that we learned. Famous Gemara, Masechtas Brachas, the Snan. Chasan, Imirtza, Likros, Kriyash, Ma'alayla, Harisha, and Koire. Chasan is Asuk b'mitzvah, he's Tarud. Remember that whole thing, Tavas Finasa Bayam, Tirda the mitzvah. He's thinking about the mitzvah, and Memela, since he's thinking, he's involved in the mitzvah, so he's potter from another mitzvah. He's not going to have the proper kavana. However, if he feels like he could have kavana, he could read. That's who? Chachamim. Chachamim over here who say, we are concerned about a Balgaiva, they're not so concerned about a Chasam being a Balgaiva. This is Prishos, yiras chet, says Rashi. You can't pretend you're Shemaim. And that I must say Kriya Shema. Oh, I have to do my Yiras Shamayim now. No, not everybody can do that. So Shimon Gamliel says you can pretend to be a Talmid Chacham on Tisha B'Av, and I'm not concerned about Gaiva. All of a sudden, he's not concerned about pretending that you're a big Yiras Shamayim when it comes to Kriya Shema. Omar Rabbi Yochanan, Muchlefes Hashita. You have to reverse the shitas. When I read this, Muchlefes Hashita, it all of a sudden occurred to me. Wasn't there Rabbi Yochanan last time that said it? And the time before that said it? Like, yeah. So I look in Bar Ilan, and sure enough, out of 17 times in Shas that it says these words, Muchlefes Hashita, we have to reverse. It's a mistake. Whoever wrote Reb Shimon Gamliel, it meant Chachamim or whatever. 14 out of 17 times, it's Rabbi Yochanan in Shas, in the entire Shas. And all the way to here, from beginning of Shas, it's always Rabbi Yochanan. Okay, just thought you would know. Fun fact. Rav Shisha Bereder Avidi Omar Loi Teipoch. And almost, I think, every single time in the 17 times, there's always somebody, Abaya, Rava, somebody's going to come up and say, no, Loi Teipoch. I have a way to fit it in beautifully as is. We don't have to flip the names. The Rabbanan Leikash, she asked me a question from Tisha B'Av over here to Kriya Shema over there. Hacha, kivin de kuli alma avde melacha v'iyu lo yovid, mechzik yuaro. So, what the answer right now is that Chachamim go by what other people are doing. What is everybody else doing? You have to fit in with everybody else. So on Tisha B'Av, everybody goes to work. If everybody goes to work, you stay home, you're a Bal Gaiva. Aval Hassam, keeping the Kuli Alma Kari. But during Ma'ariv, you hear what's going on up there? I hear every word you're saying, by the way. During Ma'ariv, everybody's saying Kriya Shema. And the Chassan, who is not supposed to be saying Kriya Shema, says Kriya Shema with everybody else. So he fits right in. He's not a Bal Gaiva. It's not a personal thing, says the Gemara now. According to Chachamim, we have to, what is everybody doing? Let's care. Go like everybody else. The Reb Shimon Gamliel, like Asher. Now we're going to say an answer of Reb Shimon Gamliel that it has to do, dependent on each person individually. Hasan would be inon kavana. By Kriya Shema, you need to have intent. You have to think about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we know that a Chasen can't have proper kavana. He's too busy. Mechzik yuaro. So by him saying, I'm going to say Kriya Shema, he looks like a Balgaiv. Oh, I'm better than everybody else. I can do it. Halacha. Amri, melacha idelesle. He doesn't have melacha. He doesn't have work today. It's not that he's pretending to be a Talmid Chacham. He's out of a job. Puk chazi kam batlana ikich b'shuka. Bottom line is he could fit right in with everybody else that doesn't go to work. It's not like a very big deal. Now, la halacha today, what do Chassanim do? Today it's the exact opposite. Today, if you don't say Kriya Shema, now you're a Bal Gaiva. You're pretending that you know how to be mechaven when the rest of the world is not mechaven during Kriya Shema. Because we don't know how to be mechaven so well. So every day I have 100% kavana. Today, unfortunately, I'm only 98, so I'm not going to say Kriya Shema. So that's the Gaiva today. It's a reverse Gaiva. So Mela all Chassanim should say Kriya Shema. The official Mishnah in honor of Donnie Fine. You hear this, Donnie? Somebody's recognizing you. Honorary official mitzvah motivator. Donnie's amazing. He gets together guys to help out other people from our Chabura, not from our Chabura, for coordinating mitzvah projects with stellar Roy. What's Roy? Official. What's Roy? Return on investment. Okay. Golden Doves. Brachas Daf 53b. Okay. He thought he'd trip me up. He threatened official that if no one else steps in, so he's going to take the next 18 Mishnayos. You can do one Mishnah at a time, I guess, but he paid $1,800 for 18 Mishnayos. $100 a Mishnah to say the official thing. And he said that if nobody steps in, he's going to take the next 18 and throw in the hardest words that will break my teeth. That's what he said. Okay? You see how this vav goes? V'chachamim. What's going on here? Because it's actually a continuation of the Mishnah Daf Nun. We just got a little distracted in the middle, and we started talking about Tisha B'Av and all sorts of the nice things. But we're talking about Mokim Shenahagu Lasis Melacha Be'erev Pesach. V'chachamim Oimrim. Chacham come along and say, Be Yehuda. We have to. So we'll see the map here. Yehuda is down here in Eretz Yisrael. Galil is up here. Be Yehuda hayoisim Melacha Be'erev Pesachim at Chatzos. Down here they would do Melacha all the way till midday. Uba Galil lo yoisim Kol Iker. And in Galil they wouldn't do Melacha Erev Pesach at all. Halayla. But what about the 14th at night? After B'digas Chametz, Beishamay Oisrim, you can't do Melacha at all. Ubeisil Matirim Ad Hanetz Achama, until Nate. The Mishnah Berurah brings this later on, that when the day starts, it means Nate. What's Netz Achama? Just like a fast day. When does a fast start? Asar B'Tevis, when does it start? It starts, it's a Shachar. Okay, so Netz Achama, sort of in the morning versus Shkia. It's not when the day starts, our day, the Jewish calendar day. Rather, it goes by the net. Says the Gemara, what's going on here? The Mishnah uses a very strong lashon of Beishamai Oisrim. Mikar Tana Minaga. The first Mishnah is talking about Minhagim, Makim Shenahagu. That's the name of our parak. In place that has a minhag, doesn't have a minhag, it's not a Isser, you're not going to get Malchus on it. Well, Lasayv Tana Yisur, and all of a sudden you're talking about Yisurim. Omer Rabbi Yochanan Loikasha. Ha, Rabbi Meir, the first Mishnah of our parak is Rabbi Meir. Ha, Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, so we have Machlokes Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. So when the Mishnah says V'chacham Moimrim, we're talking about Rabbi Yehuda. The Sanya, that's very common with Rabbi Meir, at least. The Mishnah, the Gemara talks about Chacham, and it's talking about Rabbi Meir. Sanya Rabbi Yehuda, Yisim Melacha Ba'arvei Pesachim Achatzos. In Yehuda, they would do Melacha until Chatzos. Uba Galil Einan Oisim Kol Ikar. Amalei Rabbi Meir. Ma Raya Yehuda v'Galakan. What are you proving from this whole Yehuda and Gala? Ela Makam Shenahagu Lasos Melacha Oisim. Makam Shenahagu Shelo Lasos Oisim. So Rabbi Meir in the first mission of the parak is talking about a minhag and a minhag. And Medika Amar Rabbi Meir Minhaga Miklad Rabbi Yehuda Yisur Kamar. Why did Rabbi Meir agree to Rabbi Yehuda? Why did Rabbi Meir say, yeah, in Yehuda they do Malach and Gala, they don't do? That's the minhag. If it's all dependent on minhag, because Rabbi Yehuda is switching gears. Rabbi Meir is talking about a minhag, and also Rabbi Yehuda is talking about real Yisurim, and that's why Rabbi Meir can't agree with Rabbi Yehuda there. Ask the Gemara, V'savar Rabbi Yehuda arba asar mutar ba'asiyas malacha. Is it a fact that you're allowed to do malacha in Yehuda on the 14th? Batanya, Rabbi Yehuda Omer hamenakish b'shleisha asar v'nekra b'yadai. What's going on here? So guy, here. A guy on the 13th. Here's B'dikas Chametz, the 14th. Here's the first day of Pesach. Here's the second day of Pesach. What's important about this second day? It's the 16th. Oh, Daimer. The 16th is Daimer. This is when the old crop becomes mutter to eat. Chutzlars, not chutzlars. We're not going to talk about the Bach and the Hasidim and Yashan. We're not going to go there again. But when the Omer comes, in our days, we don't have an Omer, so whatever, the 16th sometime. When it comes, everything that's in the ground becomes mutter to eat. Everything that was already took root becomes mutter to eat. Everything that was harvested becomes mutter to eat. Before that, you cannot eat the crop until you bring the carbon Omer. So what happened was, a guy on the 13th, he was running around this field, weeding his field. He's taking out the weeds. Okay? I have a picture of a guy taking out weeds. And by mistake, he rips out this piece from the ground. He rips it out. He didn't mean to. He wanted to take a weed out. But what happened, he grabbed this instead, a piece of wheat. So he goes and he wants to put it back in the ground. So if he's on the 13th, right over here, he could put it back in the ground. Why? Because manav shach. Either right now, this piece of wheat out of the ground becomes mutter on the 16th. I could eat it because I brought a omer. Or if it takes root, it's also mutter because the omer is going to come after it takes root. Because it takes 3 days to take root. So I have 3 days. 1, 2, 3. Then comes the omer. What if it takes root on the 17th? Now I have to wait until a whole nother year comes around. I cannot eat from the sweet because it took root on the 17th. But what's the obvious question here? Why does he, so it says he has to plant it on the 13th. Why does he have to plant it on the 13th? Let him plant it on the 14th. 1, 2, 3. It's 3 days. That's how long it takes for something to catch in the ground. Says the Gemara, let's start from the beginning. A person that's taking out the weeds, on the 13th. And something came out of the ground. He was all excited. He found the weed. But what happened was, it was a piece of wheat, not a weed. You put it into the mud, in other words, a moist ground, because that will take root better. Taisa explains that'll take longer than 3 days. Okay. Oh, you see from here, the reason why he can't put it in the ground on the 14th, even though you have 3 days, is because you're not allowed to plant on the 14th. There's a Issa Malacha everywhere, even in Yehuda. And the Gemara proves this point. Anytime you graft something, you take something, put it in a tree, take a branch, put it in a tree, it takes 3 days. If it didn't grab, Shuv any koletes, it's not going to grab. So the same thing, the Gemara assumes when it comes to a piece of wheat, you put it in the ground, it takes 3 days to grab. Why can't they just plant it on the 14th? Why do you have to be so machmer 4 days before the Omer? You have the 14th, 15th, and a little bit of the 16th. That's when you bring the Omer by this red line. It has to be before Chatzos. So there's a red line here. Oh, Rabbi Yehuda is talking about Galul. He wanted to make a universal law. Halacha that applies everywhere. Galul, we said, you're not allowed to do malacha. Only in Yehuda you can do malacha. Okay, so he's talking about Galul, Asr. That's why. In Yehuda you could plant on the 14th. Ask the Gemara, but even Galil, Voika Leila, you could plant after B'dikas Chametz. You're done doing your B'dikas Chametz. Plant it then. Or Rav Sheishes could be Shammai. B'Shammai we said in the Mishnah, B'Shammai Yisrim at night. Awesome. Rav Ashi Yom Ha'olam could be Silil. You're allowed to plant at night. We're talking about normal people. They don't have tractors with headlights and all the stuff. It's in the middle of the night. Who's going out there to... So we're not talking about the night. Says the Gemara, Ravina Omar, Lo'ilam bi Yehuda. We're talking about in Yehuda, it's mutter to do malach on the 14th. So why didn't he plant it on the 14th? You have 3 days. 1, 2, 3. Says the Gemara, we'll say it outside a second. When is he planting on the 14th? A minute into the 14th. An hour into the 14th. You can't plant as the 14th comes in. It's impossible. So the 14th is not a whole day. The 14th is 99%, let's call it. But then we have a famous halacha, mixes hayoim kekuloi. Doesn't have to be a whole day. Great. What about the 16th? 16th is certainly not a full day because you bring the Omer by Chatzos. So what we have left is 2 days that are partial days and one great Gishmak of 15th day. Okay. But when it comes to planting, you can't plant with lavud, right? As an example. You can't use halacha Moshe Messinai to say, oh, this got planted. You want to use one time the idea of mixes hayom kekula, great. But we're talking about a physical thing here. We're talking about something taking root, and it takes 3 days to take root. So you want to start using svaris in a day. Take you 1 minute from the 14th, 1 minute from the 16th, and 24 hours from the 15th. That's not going to give me a root. That's going to give me halacha 3 days, but not a physical 3 days. It doesn't work. If you say mixes and kikula, no, I'll roll with you with 1 day. To use that concept twice, I will not do so. The official Mishnah for refuah sheleima to Tzvi Shir, his official team, MDY member, who's been saving vacation days so he can experience the matzav live in real time. I think that's how it's read. Yishkoyach, official from official catering. There was a bad day for official, maybe a very good day. It depends how you look. There's 4 Mishnayos here. So 100, 200, even Panovich, I do the math. I could do it quick. Says the Mishnah, Remei Roimer, Kol melacha sheitchel b'koydem la'arba asar, Goimra b'arba asar. This is a very key word, Rabbi Yisai. Goimra. Meir holds that if you started the malacha, by the way, if anybody wants to know, why do I keep on going like this? It's not a bad habit. I was once watching a shir, and somebody had like something like, I don't remember, some white thing here, and it made me nervous the entire shir. And since then, like I can't, chas v'shalom like this, like, make sure the white thing is not there. Okay, maybe it is a bad habit. I just didn't want to gross anybody out, whatever. Fine. Remei Omer. Why did I have to say that? That's it, I can't do that anymore. I'm done. Kol Malacha, how are you doing? Yes? Who's that, Avi Kamiansky? I didn't watch a shir that bothered me, so I'm not into it. Kol Malacha she'itcha b'koidim la'arba asar goimra b'arba asar. Any melacha that you start on before the 14th, you could finish it off on the 14th. You hear Mordechai Ashkenazi, everything's good. Your name is great, but it still says Mark. We got to fix it. Goymer b'arba asar. You're not allowed to start l'chatchila. So what does the Mishnah say? I can finish something off, but I can't start it. Even though I know for a fact, what's the difference if I finish it or I start and finish? I know I'm going to finish it. No, you can't start it. There's 3 jobs. They could work until chatzos. By the way, a chayotin, a tailor, basaparim, a barber, and the launderer. Shoemakers as well. We're going to see in the Gemara what the svar is. Let me show you real quickly what I have here. There are 2 things going on here. There's litzarech, loy litzarech of yantif. Do I need this garment? Do I need this thing for yantif? Litzarech, loy litzarech. The word in the Mishnah is this green guy, goimer. So is it the pshat? I'll go from the back, from the end to. It might be a little easier. Is the pshat that if I do it, if I'm finishing it off, I can finish it off. Litzarech, obviously, I need it. And even loy litzarech, I don't need it for Yom Tov at all. But I'm finishing. Finishing is good. The Mishnah says finishing. It doesn't mention, do I need it or not need it? All the Mishnah says one word, goimra. So Mela, this is the key word. Or perhaps, no, I can finish it when I really need it for Yom Tov. I cannot finish it. This is the worst. This is the worst case. This is the best. I could always, actually, matchil is good. Matchil is even better. But this one is, I can finish, but I cannot finish if it's loy litzarech. And finally, another shaila is, maybe what the Mishnah meant to say is, if it's litzarech, forget about it. I could even start it erev yontif. Matchil. Loy litzarech. That's what the Mishnah was talking about. I could even finish. I could finish, I could even start. That's the most kal. This is the worst. This is the most chomer. I could finish, but I cannot finish. I can't even finish if it's not litzarech yontif. So let's see inside. Ibaylu. Are we talking about I need it for Yontif? But if I don't need it, then I can't even finish, like this red guy. Or perhaps you're talking about even, you don't need it. Like down here, I could perhaps even start, forget about finish. Maybe this guy right over here. I could always finish, no matter if it's litzorech, shaloi litzorech, whatever it is, always finish a project, but never start a project. Even litzorech yantiv, I cannot start a project. Says the Gemara Tashma. So, as the Gemara usually does, we're going to bring 3 rayas, bidoicha 2 of them, and the last one is the one that stands. The last one actually says mafurish, our question, says word for word. Tashma. Don't start on the 14th. Afilu tziltzil katan. Afilu sfacha ktana. A sfacha, remember from Masechet Shabbos, like a snood. A tziltzil is more like a band. There, tziltzil, a band, you put it around your hand, whatever you do with it. So even a very small project. Afilu sfacha ktana. My afilu. What does the word afilu mean? Lav. Isn't this a good write-off? Afilu hana l'tzorech hamoyed. I need it for yontif. Afilu. You know, like you come somewhere, you're sued, you're missing something, you need to sew something real quickly for Yantif. Perhaps I could bring a raya that if it's not for Yantif, you can't even finish it. Loi, I'll push that off. Even if it's not for Yantif, I can finish it. Well, my afilu. So then why is the Bryce use a lashon even? Oh, there's a chiddush here. Afilu hanenami the zutraninu. It's a very small project. The sokat chamino atchalas and zuig mar melachton. You just start. You're already finished. So you could do it every yantiv maybe. You cannot do so. Toshma, another ayah, similar. Me'oimer, kol malacha shila tzarech hamoyed. We're turning to Daf Yomi Pesachim sponsor regadal fence refuah sheleima of Yerachmiel Daniel ben Tova Basho. Kol malacha shila tzarech hamoyed. Goimra ba'arba osar. You could finish it on the 14th. Emasai. Bizman shidchel ba'koydem arba osar. Only if you started beforehand. Oh, this would be a little bit of a right. If you didn't start before the 14th, don't start on the 14th. Afilu tziltzil katan, afilu svachak tano, even a small band, even a snood. Letzarech hamoyed in, shaloi letzarech hamoyed loy. Says the Gemara, okay, l'chari have a right a little bit. Wa'adin da afilu shaloi letzarech nami gamrinon. No, maybe it's not talking about letzarech, loy letzarech. So even shaloi letzarech, also, even if I need it for Yantiv, Migmar in, you could only finish it off at Chulei Loy. You cannot start it. So here's the Raya finally, Tashma. It says Mufurish. A, Litzarech, I need it to be for Yantiv. If it's not Litzarech, this doesn't fit into this Brayzo. Goimra, I could finish it, but I can't start it. So it has to be Litzarech, and I could finish it by Arba Asar. V'shein Litzarech hamoyed Asar, it's very possible Rashi didn't have this whole girsa. V'shein Litzarech hamoyed Asar, v'oisim melacha ba'arba pesachim ad chatzois b'makim shenagu, and you could do melacha all the way to chatzois if you have that minute. Says the Gemara, b'makim shenagu in loy nagu loy. So you need a minute. Ushma mina Litzarech hamoyed in. Shaloi letzarech hamoyed loy. You need that it should be for Yantiv. So where's that chart again? Shaloi letzarech letzarech hamoyed in. Shaloi letzarech hamoyed loy. Right over here. You finish and you don't start letzarech hamoyed. All right. There are 3 trades that you could do erev yantiv until chatzos. Tana, what's the pshat in these 3 things? Why are they different? So Gemara gives us an idea that a concept. If we find anything that's mutter in some shape and form, somewhere it's mutter, then it's mutter erev. So if it's mutter in some way, shape and form, on Chalamoed, then it's a mutter erev yantiv on the 14th. Hachayatin sheken hedei toifer kedarka b'chol shamayid. If you are an individual, you're not doing this for a living, you're allowed to fix your clothing on Chalamoed, and therefore you're permitted to go to a tailor erev yantiv. Because Erev Yantiv is much less than Chalamoid, right? Chalamoid is really Mayed that has Isurim to it. Hasaparim v'akoyvs, and what about barbers and launderers, the dry cleaners? Shekein abam medinas hayam, we find there's a very extreme case. If somebody comes, flies in on Chalamoid, flies in, Shalom Aleichem, here I am, I'm here for Yantiv. V'ayoytzim veis hasurim, comes out of jail on Yantiv. You're allowed to clean his clothes and you're allowed to give him a haircut. So once I have that heter on Chalamayid, then I take that heter completely and do it lechatchila, go to the barber until chatzos on the 14th. Now what about shoes? I can make someone a brand new pair of shoes on the 14th. L'kovid yantiv. Why? Since, think about it, there was a chiyuv of lila l'regel 3 times a year. You're walking all the way to Yerushalayim. What's going to happen to your shoes? They're going to be destroyed. So I allow you to go to the shoemaker to fix your shoe. Says Rabbi Yossi, if I can fix your shoe, then I can make a brand new shoe. Chacham say no. There's no connection. B'maiko mifligi. Mar sovar l'meidim tchilas melacha mesoif melacha. Says Rabbi Yossi, if I can make a small repair, put a stitch into the shoe, then I could take a piece of leather and create a brand new shoe. They're very similar. Chacham say not true. Yes, you're right. If you want to repair your shoe erev yontiv, gesundheit, you can go and repair your shoe. Why? Because on chalamayid you can repair your shoe for oily regalim. But to create a new shoe, where's the connection? New shoe and repair are two different things. And now we go to the third Mishnah of today. The official Mishnah in honor of Akiva Salway and his co-editors. Some were already past their bar mitzvahs. I guess he's the youngest one. He's before his bar mitzvah. Who do a crackerjack job churning out the weekly or hamerkaz on time and under budget. Shkoyach Nachman for the Maisa. I didn't read it yet, but it's a lot of stuff to go around. I think he's kidding about the budget. I don't know. Maybe he's talking about the budget that everyone has to print out these 11, 12, 14 pages. Seriously, I had to buy a new stapler. My stapler didn't work. It was so thick. I'm not joking. I bought a commercial 40-page stapler. And then I had the wrong staples. I had to buy new staples because the staples went through and through. It was a whole... Oh, we have to say Shalom. Larry Pearl's on. Okay, so it's great to see Larry Pearl. Rabbi Isai, keep on davening for his complete refuah sheleima. Naftali Harit, Shalom Aleichem. Mordechai Aaron, Shalom Aleichem. Oh, Reb Nachum Katz. Where have you been, my friend? I haven't seen you on Zoom in a long time. You're here, okay, but I don't see you so often. All right, Zok the Heilige Mishnah. Moishivin shoivachim letarna goylim biyudalid. Bekitzer, what's going on is you take an egg and you put it underneath the chicken so that the chicken could sit on the egg, whatever you call it in English, whatever the word is, fancy word, brood, whatever you want to call it. Sit on the, no, what's the normal word? Brooding hen. No, I don't like that word. There's something simpler. That you don't need sometimes you need a dictionary for the art school. That's a little, sit on the eggs is a little bit too yeshivish. Okay, that's a little Panovitcher. It seems to me like there's another in-between word. Now, what? Okay, that's lawyers know these words. I'm not talking about you, Avi. I'm talking about common folk. Guys, not the guys that went to Panovich, not the guys that went to law school. The in-between guys. You know, the guys that went to Turo or something. Incubating. Can you use incubate with the... No? Okay, you can't use incubate, he said. He said no. Now, if the chicken runs away, take her, pick her up, put her back on the eggs. The Gemara is going to say, of course, if you can put an egg, so I can put her there. V'meisa, if the chicken dies, now, you have a cow. I don't know if you've ever been to a barn, but you know what that smell is all about, right? So you have to clean it up once in a while. There's a lot of waste going on. So you're allowed to take a shovel and start shoveling, take it out of there. Bring it to the pile, the heap of garbage somewhere outside. However, but on chalamayid, misaklin zdadim. There's a problem of tirchi yisera working too hard. By the way, by us in the hotel, professionals at not so much getting rid of the waste, but professionals in coming up with different reasons why it's mutter to go shopping and buy clothing because it's a davar ovid and the sale's only today. They found out. The kids, everybody. There's a lot of special halachas about moed. We have to treat chalamayid a little. It's moed. At the end of the day, it's moed. Tirchi yisera. You're not allowed to write. The people know that. Not everybody knows. You're not allowed to take a pen and write normally. It's a problem. Chalamayid is different. Huh? Who writes with a pen? I'm saying in the 90s, people used to write with pens. You know, before you showed me about my computer, I used to do the charts with the pen. You remember? You can go pick up your jugs, whatever you have by the craftsman. Even though it's not for Yontif, you need it after Yontif. Says the Gemara. If I could take a chicken, put it on top of an egg, make that shidduch between the chicken and the egg, so if it jumps up some way midway, of course I can continue the process. We're talking about a chiddush that I could return it on chalamayid, but on the 14th I could start the whole process. I don't know, I made a very shvacha last minute kind of chart because it might somewhat be confusing. There's a chicken sitting on an egg for 3 days. Blue, red, blue, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. 3 days. Now, what's the significance of 3 days? Once the chicken sits on an egg for 3 days, you can no longer, a lot of people are not going to eat that because it started already developing. There's already, who wants to crack open a chicken and see an egg? You're making a scrambled egg and there's a couple of legs coming out. It's not so gishmak. A beak, no, it's not good. So most people, there are people, the Mishugoyim out there, it's a little cheaper, half price, I'll take that also. So there's a hefsid. I need to get the chicken back into business. Otherwise, if the chicken didn't start, so sell it for scrambled eggs. But once the chicken started, 3 days. Now, there's another thing called merid. When the chicken runs away, so if you could return it within 3 days, it still has the cheshik and the taiva, the natural desire to sit on the egg. But after 3 days, faloirin, it's gone. That's the 2 things here. Says the Gemara, so there's a tziruf of 2 things here. If it's within 3 days of her running away, not more, so I can return her because it makes sense. She'll stay on the eggs. The heat, the desire to sit on it, didn't run away. And after 3 days of her sitting on it, you need this also. The pastel be'legamri. The eggs are a loss. But after 3 days, the parla tzimra it's not going to help you bring her back. And within 3 days of her sitting, so I could still sell it to other people. Even in this case, that let's say only sat 2 days, give it back. Why? So what's a machlokes? No, it has to be 3 days and you have a complete loss, or 2 days, you have a minor loss. Lehefsid muad loy chashashu. Umar soba lehefsid muad nami chashashu. So, Rabbi Ami is concerned about a very small hefsid, and the Tanakama only a very large hefsid. Now think about it for a second. What's going on here? Hefsid meruba. How many eggs are we talking about? How many eggs could a chicken sit? I didn't do the research, but let's say 3 to 5 eggs. I don't know. And that's a hefsid meruba. Now I have to tell you real quickly. I know it's 8 o'clock, but Kavod Shabbos Kodesh. I said this ma'aseh a while ago. Say it again for the oilam. We're discussing eggs and hefsid meruba. The Stefanskys come from Switzerland. So my grandfather inherited some money from his father who's in Switzerland. My grandfather's a big tzaddik. He lived in Bnei Brak. He was a sofer. He wrote tefillin, mezuzahs for the stipler. Some say even for the Lubavitcher Rebbe. I had a certain person, I can't mention his name, twice in one shir. He's going to check into it for me. Fine. So he gets this money. And he goes to the Chazon Ish and he asks the Chazon Ish, what should I do with this money? So the Chazon Ish says, Bnei Brak is developing very well now. Buy a plot of land. So, as we said yesterday, some people have the mazel to understand where to go into the business. They all have business. They could all do it. They could all become millionaires. But you have to have that mazel. You have to have the tziyat shmai. He goes to his chavrusa. He had a chavrusa at 3 o'clock in the morning. He tells his chavrusa, the Chazon Ish told me to buy a plot of land. Says his chavrusa, the Chazon Ish is a big tzaddik, but a very, very weak businessman. What you need to do, and I'm giving you an Eitz Taiva, you need to buy this machine right over here. This is an egg incubator. Can you imagine how much money you can make? You take an egg, a bunch of them, you put them in the machine, puff, all of a sudden, chicklets come out. You'll have so many of these chickens, then you have more eggs, more chickens. Unbelievable idea. So my grandfather takes his Yerusha, buys this fancy machine. My grandmother told me one time she touched something wrong, she got electrocuted, she went flying, she almost lost her life. That was problem number 1. Problem number 2 is that they lived on the border. At those days, before they moved to Bnei Brak, they lived in Yerushalayim on the border with Jordan. And a missile came and hit the machine and it exploded, and they had 0 from that machine. 1 big fat 0 instead of a large plot of land in the middle of Bnei Brak. You do the math. Zog the Gemara. Oh, it's already 8:02. Let's do 2 more lines, like to the next little thing here, so we're not that far behind. It's Motzei Shabbos, we'll catch up on some emails. Garvim mitachas, ton rabbana. Hazav shebachotzer misalkinois letzdadim. If you have garbage, you can put it to the side. Sheberefes shebachotzer moitzinois la'ashpa. And if it's in the yard, you can take it out completely. You don't have to move it to the side. Hoguf akasha. Amr zav shebachotzer misalkinois letzdadim. Vadatani sheberefes shebachotzer moitzinois la'ashpa. What's going on here? You can take it out completely and move it to the side. Amar bayli kasha. Kam biyudalid. Yudalid, you could do whatever you want. Take it out more because Yudalid, the Erev Pesach is more kal than Chol Hamoed. Kam b'Chol Hamoed, you have to be careful. Don't do Tirchi Yisero. Just put it to the side. Rav Omar Hava b'Chol Hamoed. No, they're both Chol Hamoed. V'Achik Omar Im Nasa Chotzer Kirefes Moitzi Noisi La'ashpa. If there's so much waste, then you take it out to the garbage. One quick story because it's Erev Shabbos, the Kav Shabbos. Rabbi Yashiv Paskins, that garbage mizban hazeh, there's no tircha. You just take it in the garbage bag, take it outside. And the famous story, we have to say the famous story, when you talk about garbage and garbage bags, Rav Pam was speaking to a guy, and the guy said, I have a major problem. My wife wants me to take out the garbage. So he said, no, so what's the problem? He says, no, but I'm a chashav b'tamid chacham. I learn in koil all day, I'm going to take out garbage. Aha, I hear. The next morning, Rav Pam knocks on the door. Shalom Aleichem, what are you doing here, Rebbe? I'm here to take out your garbage. So he takes out his garbage. And every other day when I see Josh Ashman, he's not in the shir, but he lives over here, and he walks by our shul. We have a minyan. He walks by with garbage bags. I say, good morning, Rav Pam. Good morning, Rav Pam. It's a famous ma'isa, but it's a good one to remember. Have a wonderful Shabbos. I'll see you in a few hours. And Motzi Shabbos, 7:30. Have a wonderful Shabbos, a wonderful day. Shia ma'alois, mi'amak v'sifadinoi. Huh? סליחה, למען תבורי. מי זה הדינוי כבשן נפשי? זה לא יכולתי. תפילה הדינוי. שומעים לבויקי, שומעים לבויקי. לכן ישראל הדינוי, אחרי זה ועזרים מקדוש. וידי שישראל מכל המניסה והכי נגוב ישראל. נצאנו בסוף בשביע. עומדים. באים. I know what they did with the money, though. I know. It's like my father told me, my grandfather told me, it's not a ma'aseh shekemat toya. But there's a guy, I'll tell you a different story. I know a guy that actually bought land in Manhattan. He owned a square block. And he sold it in the early 1900s. He sold it, it was a farm in Manhattan.
I was having some testing and then I stopped it.
Oh, wow.
Goes with the whole 8-minute bathroom.
Leon! Rabbi said, excuse me, I saw Leon's ear, the famous Leon's ear. You never see his whole face. You see like part of his head. It was a big simcha g'dayla. מה קורה?
He was driving too fast, and he was actually following his 3 trucks of wheat because he wanted to be Shmooze, Shas Katsir all the way. The cop pulls him over, asked him, what are you doing over here? New York plate, he's speeding. So I'm just following my trucks with wheat. The 3 trucks of wheat. I said, what? I got my 3 trucks of wheat over here. So 1 minute, within 5 minutes, troopers came on and surrounded all the trucks. What do you mean? This is my trucks of wheat. He goes sitting on the side of it, and he leans over and says, he's an Israeli, he's saying wheat. Not weed.
I was thinking about it. That's exactly, I was thinking weeding. He was weeding the thing. It's weeds.
So when he said he pulled out the weed from the weeds,
I appreciate Yisrael. I love when people give me the ma'aseh after the shir is over. It's always great. Next time we have weeding, I'm going to not know that ma'aseh. I'm going to forget about it.
But I emailed this story this week. You can use it much later on in the
Another ma'aseh that happened afterwards.
I sent you a story.
Yeah. Similar to my story. What was it? The Bavarel, yeah. Yeah. With the guy. The guy came in and took his chametz, yeah. I saw a video of a guy coming into a guy's house on Pesach, in a fancy house in Borough Park, and he was taking his whiskey.
The same thing happened. The guy came, and they had to let him come and take thousands and thousands of dollars worth of chametz.
But then they have to pay for it.
He paid, the thingy, and then afterwards they had to give him a load of money so they could get it back. He's supposed to pay for the chametz. They make him say,
No, you do a deal. Good morning, good morning. It's a beautiful picture of you and Yoel. There's a picture of you. I never saw you so hatsy-tatsy with a tie on. Where's that picture? It says, happy birthday, Gedalia.
Here's my
Bar mitzvah picture. I should put my bar mitzvah picture also in. You know those guys, they're like 90 years old and they put their picture when they were 26? That's Gedalia. He's not going to put in a picture of him 15. It's already, you know what age is it?
I don't have a picture of me.
What are you talking about? Come on.
Yeah, I just see a screenshot for you. It works like that with the New York State driver's license. When you get to 16, you get your driver's license, and they keep reusing it.
Passport too, same as the passport.
What, you own a hat? Gedalia, you own a hat? Please. Who gave him, you guys gave him a hat?